Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 28th Lebanon Board of Works meeting. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Gentry?
Here.
Becky McClure?
Present.
Bill Stoner?
Here.
Dick Robertson?
Here.
Alan Milburn?
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, now move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meetings. We have two sets of minutes this night, or tonight. The first one's from January 24th, and the second is from February 14th. So are there any changes to those minutes? Okay, we entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes for January 24th and February the 14th.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those minutes are approved. We do have a guest tonight, so in the interest of her time, do I have consent from the board to take the agenda out of order? Consent? Okay, we've got a new business then, and we have a street closure request from That Sports Bar and Daniel Hoffman. Customer service here at the Board of Works meeting.
So March 19th from 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. I'd like to close Smith Street. We're the only address on the road. I always take care of the two streets, or the two houses, I'm sorry, that have driveways on the street. I offer them hotel rooms, I get them dinner. I don't want to be a nuisance to them. Last year we had almost 600 people show up. This year I'm expecting at least 800. It's a good time. We don't get in trouble. Everybody has a good time.
Very good.
So I think it's okay.
This is for your annual St. Patrick's Day event?
Yes, St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions for Danielle on that from the board? I know we've approved it before in the past. Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the street closure request for Smith Street on March 19th from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., correct? Okay.
I'll make a motion we allow the closure of Smith Street on March 19th from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Best of luck with your event. Danielle, thanks. Okay, then we'll return to our normally scheduled agenda and back to department head reports. First up will be Police Department. Chief Morgan.
Good evening, board members. Since our last meeting, the police department has responded to 514 calls for service. A total of 17 people were arrested for the following crimes: 3 for operating while intoxicated, 5 were wanted on a warrant, 2 for possession of meth, 1 for dealing meth, 1 for dealing marijuana, 1 for dealing narcotics, 1 for possession of a controlled substance, 1 for driving while suspended, 1 for criminal trespassing, and 1 for kidnapping. In that same time frame, 6 handgun permits were sent off to the state for final approval. And in that same time frame, the last 2 weeks, we've responded to 26 crash reports, and for the month of February, we've had 63. So I want to start adding that into my report to you guys. Then I told you guys at the last meeting that Sergeant Williamson was going to be going to a FLETC course for use of force instructors. He's completed that, and the course was, the first part of it was how to apply case law to the use of force training. And then the second part was scenario-based, where they would put these guys in scenarios and try and show them ways to teach other people how to do things properly. So he successfully completed that, and I talked to him today, and he's ready to put the training on for our department. Currently, we are hosting a PATC course for FTOs. This course is for the new FTOs and the veterans. The veterans will recertify through it, and the new guys will learn how to instruct new officers. We have 25 officers from all over the state attending this at our facility. Then the last thing I have is, I'm sure as everybody's seen on social media, and you guys already knew, yesterday was Tony Bell's last day as he was our assistant chief. So today is Amy Dickerson's first day as assistant chief. Then Jeff Nelson moved up from lieutenant to captain of investigations. Then Brian Spencer moved up to lieutenant in investigations. Just to get you guys up to where people are at. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up will be Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Public Works and Safety meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 119 emergency calls of service, logged 325 training hours, performed 6 commercial pre-plans, and completed 29 commercial inspections. February as a whole has been a very busy training month for LFD, especially the last 2 weeks. I've got several trainings that I'd like to bring to your attention. Battalion Chief Matt Shepard and firefighter Sam Doherty completed a 3-day fire service seminar consisting of leadership development and fireground tactics. Captain Brett Klingler and Lieutenants Matt Young and Noah Rinker completed ICS NIMS 300. NIMS 300 is a mid-level management NIMS course for division chiefs, captains. It's a prerequisite for NIMS 400, and as you work your way up through the NIMS system. Firefighter Sam Cornix completed the Indiana State certification for Instructor 1, and then I completed the Indiana Department of Homeland Security's Chief Executive Officer program. It was a great program. I ran through the National Fire Academy. I actually received 3 National Fire Academy certifications with that, and it was a wonderful program. Got to meet chiefs throughout the state. On February 21st, personnel from LFD, Lebanon Utilities, and Adams Electric replaced the tornado siren located at the Flying J truck stop. Currently, all tornado sirens in the city of Lebanon are operational. This has been a very long project that's been taken out of our hands due to supply issues. So now we're up and we're ready to go and we're operational. A special thank you to the Lebanon Police Department and the Boone County Coroner's Office for their assistance with the fire scene death investigation. Can't say enough about Chief Morgan's crew. Captain Jeff Nelson was out at the fire scene, just did a tremendous job. It's so easy to work with their department and with the coroner's office, and it's directly reflects their leadership. All intent letters for LFD's captain's process. They were due today by 4 o'clock. Lieutenants Kurt Gott, Matt Young, Jason Adams, and Jason Hendricks will compete in the process. The written test is scheduled for March 23rd. The oral interview, presentation, tactical and scenarios are scheduled for March 24th. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief from the board? Anything from the public? On behalf of the board, I do want to congratulate you on your accreditation you got from the Chief Executive Officer Training. I know it's the first year for that, and I commend you for going through that. I know that's, adding more work to your plate is never, you're a busy guy already, so appreciate you taking the time to do that, and I think the citizens of Lebanon will be better served for that, so thank you, Chief.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, next will be Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. The tree work at Abner Longley has started back up. They start back up today. Kind of a little lull in the action because all the thawing of the snow and the rain, it really made it pretty murky down there, so I didn't want to destroy the grounds too much. They're over 50% complete and should be complete in the next 2 weeks. It's looking really nice down there. If anybody's taking a chance, go down and look at it. The playground site work is planning pouring concrete this week, so ahead of schedule there. Again, nice work during the winter that they've done. I ordered that playground equipment. It should be delivered this week. Ordered it back in June of last year. Doesn't mean it's going to get installed right away. We probably will start the installation process, but that no-fault surface has to be a certain temperature, so we'll have to wait until temperatures are right for it, but real excited about that project moving forward. Lighting project, I don't know if anybody's been through Memorial Park, seen these big concrete bases. Those are for the 20-foot light poles that are going in. Those were precast. It's something that we did a little change on, I think quicker installation. There again, sat down with Setco, went over the schedule this last week. they're about 30 days ahead and possibly another 30. So it should be right around the 4th. He's trying to push to get before the 4th of July. He has until October 22nd, I believe. That's what it was with the bond issuance and things that we did on his project. But looking real excited about that. Seeing this, all the boring going on. Parks are messed up, but we'll get them straightened out, all the grass and all that going on. Big Four Trail, they're getting ready to start their work. You're seeing a lot of staking. I think Kevin will probably speak on that later. But it's going down Southeast Street. It's coming in off of Hendricks Drive, right next to the water plant that's going in at Abner Longley Park, and those two will have to play nice together, the two contractors. But that's a muddy mess down there too. They ran into a little difficulty finding out that there's quite a bit of water down there. So what they'll have to do is take care of the water, pump some of it off, get the drainage all taken care of first prior to that starting up. But they've been working down there quite a bit. There again, hopefully they will be done by November, I think, is their scheduled date on it. There again, the trail will be moving right through there. You'll see a lot of stakes going up down Southeast Street, connecting to the downtown. But I think we have a meeting tomorrow on that, and I'll know more about scheduling and how that process is going. But looking forward to moving forward with it. Reese Park, we have some new signage to be installed. Ran into a little difficulty out there with the rains and how muddy it is, but we'll put some new signage up, and that lift station work will start this spring also. Been working with utilities on that project. They'll be trenching across the soccer fields. However, they'll be staying out of the way so we won't interfere with LISA, Lebanon Youth Soccer League Association. I've already met with Derek Crease and Scott Milam. Those are the two gurus running that program, and spoke with them, so they're very aware of how we're going to do it, and we won't destruct too much out there. But that process is also getting ready to kick off. Our open house last Wednesday had a nice turnout. I think I saw a few of you up there. Mayor, I appreciate you. And Mason, I love his drawings. If we could use some of those drawings that Mason did for the park amenities, I think that'd be interesting at best. Dick, appreciate you being there. I had a nice turnout, had great dialogue, great ideas, a lot of input on all the amenities of our park's 5-year master plan. That's probably a couple more months out of, we still have want more input. I think if anybody can go to the survey that we have on our website or our Facebook page, please just take 5 minutes and jot down your ideas, if nothing else. But it doesn't take more than 5-10 minutes at the most, and we'd appreciate it. We have over 300 now that have taken the survey. I'd appreciate anybody else could fill that in. But the results will be coming out soon, probably in the next 2 months for that. And we have a few more sit-downs to meet with. There again, met with HWC and Spear Corporation for the kickoff for the pool expansion. Nothing going to happen right away. We're looking at some drainage. We have some drainage issues that need to be addressed prior to that pool expansion. There again, we're looking at that. We have just kicked off with that meeting, getting ideas. We have over 400 in that survey. There again, for ideas of what people would like to see and what we will do with that expansion. We're still trying to figure out how we move it around and those kind of things. Took down a few trees in the park along with a little bit of snow and ice this past few weeks. Maintenance crew's been doing a fantastic job on everything, keeping the parks up. We have a lot of grounds to fix up, but that's no problem. That's our forte. Thank you to everybody who participated in our 2022 Snowman Building Contest. Congrats to our 2 winners, the Schenkel family and the Wilson family. I had so many good entries on that, and it's really difficult. A lot of the park maintenance guys and the programs director and everybody in our parks kind of took a look at it, and we all voted, and those were the 2 top winners, but they all were fantastic. Alligators, kittens, it was real interesting to see some of them. A lot of ingenuity on that. Later in March, we will be starting the fitness challenge in the park that will end on April 8th. Everyone that completed the challenge should stop by the park office to receive a prize. More details will be posted on the park's social media. After Fat Tuesday tomorrow, I think we all probably need to join in on that fitness workout. We will be posting about our spring pickleball league this week. Be offering 6 different divisions: men's doubles, women's doubles, co-ed doubles, men's doubles 55 and older, women's doubles 55 and over, and co-ed doubles 55 and over. Registration will close on March 31st. Just to address something there too, some of the courts are showing their age. We did put a Band-Aid on them, did a quick fix about 2 years ago. The weather hadn't been nice to us, so we will be repairing those in-house. To get on any of these crews to repair it again, not only is it costly, but it's also not available this year. They're a year and a half out on all the good companies that we would have to do the work. We'll have to grind out all the cracks and caulk those, but we're ready to address those as soon, again, as the weather, there's a certain temperature you have to have, so we're on top of that. I just don't want anybody to be concerned that we aren't aware of it. We're very aware, have a lot of input from the pickleballers, so we're very aware. We recently posted details about our Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 16th. Comes early this year. The first hunt will start at 10:30. The age groups are 2 to 4, 5 to 7, 8 to 10, and we hope to see everybody there. I want to thank ahead of time Miss Bohannon's class out of the high school. Their special needs class helps us out with putting all the candies in the Easter eggs, so we appreciate that. They called us, I think in February, ready to go, and I said, no, we'll wait and get some fresh candy in there, so I hope everybody can get out there. It's always a great event, and that's all I have.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John from the board? Anything from the public? I will say, I'm blaming all the snow we had on you.
Yeah,
because
I
we
know,
didn't
for the
have any
snowman.
snow, and they're like, we need snow for our snowman contest.
You did. You blamed me for the rain. I hear
Just
you.
want to point that out.
I had to get those in. We had, I think there was 2 that were artificial snowmen prior to the snow, so thank God we had some, and thank God the snow was right.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, John. All right, next up will be Engineering Department, Kevin Krulik.
Thank you. Good evening. Engineering updates. Let's go around the city, talk about a couple of different projects. Whit Road projects. Getting ready to get started on the bridge projects, as most people know. June 1 is the start date there, trying to wrap that up before school gets back in session in August. The only real active issue right now is that we are working with our permit administrators because of the change in the schedule. Puts our construction right in the middle of fish spawning season. So we're working with IDNR to get a waiver so that we can be working in the flow line during fish spawning season, which is not a big ask. It happens all the time. But originally speaking, we were doing this work in the fall. So we caught that we need to go back and ask for a fish spawning waiver. So that's in the works. That shouldn't hold anything up there, though. On the road projects, still waiting to hear back on our notice of funding availability from NDOT for fiscal year 2027. I got a note today from NDOT that they are expecting to award those projects sometime in the next 2 weeks. Well, they said the second week of March, so I assume that means sometime between like the 15th and the 21st. So hopefully before I'm back before you, we'll have an answer there. On the Elmwood Bridge, reminder one, that did go in for community crossings. Not expecting any community crossing award announcements until April, so we're standing by there. Let's jump over to Grant Street. Right away, thank goodness, was secured by our deadline of 2/22. I think we made our last deal on 2/22, and we're able to close and secure all that right of way per the NDOT's deadline, and that is now moving forward. Letting date is still May 5th. Reminder one, it'll be built in 2 phases. First phase is William Street from the bridge there at the northeast corner of Central over to Grant Street. That will happen this summer while school is out, and then we will reconvene next summer in 2023 for the reconstruction of Grant from and including Washington Street up north to the south edge of Fordyce Road. VS Engineers is now under contract, and our contracts have been approved by NDOT for our construction inspection services. And again, we've got a Grant Street Phase 2 project that is in for 2027 federal funding. Again, expecting to hear an award on that sometime by the 21st of March. Just up the street, Fordyce Road, just to let the residents know, especially the residents between East Street and Grant Street, there'll be buyers coming around the properties, talking to the neighbors. We will resume those buying efforts, also coordinating those driveway expansion issues that were brought up by some of the residents along the north side due to loss of parking for the construction of the trail through that area. So those right-of-way buyers will be making contact if they haven't already in the next few days. Keep in mind though, Fordyce Road is 2024, possibly 2025 construction. We don't have a timeline just yet. Big Four Trail expansion. So notice to proceed for the Big Four Trail has been issued. Pre-construction meeting has been held. The rule section plans have now been filed with DNR for review. Final land and acquisition transfers have been made. Those documents should be recorded this week. And John mentioned this earlier, but tree clearing is moving forward on that. We're about 50% complete on tree and fence removal to be ready for construction. And construction is scheduled to start sometime in March, weather pending. Stone Eater Bike Park, lots going on there, but happy to report our site plan went through a lot of iterations over the last few weeks, rounding out the design of the site, working with our various consultants from the environmental engineering, civil engineering, landscape architecture. That site plan is essentially complete at this point. Landscape plans as of today were sent over to the county to get their initial thoughts and concerns on that submittal. Off-site drainage is basically done. The easement has been in the Trophy Club's hands since last week, and we've agreed on all the comments on that easement document, and just waiting for them to execute that document, and then it'll come back to the mayor's office for execution. We'll have that easement in place, which will free up mass earthwork and construction and other activities as soon as we're ready to get started. Preliminary signage designs were also submitted to the county. Happy to report that we received positive feedback from the Area Plan Commission in support of some variances we'll need there. Because it's a residentially zoned property, there's very little signage allowed, so we'll need some variances, but happy to report that they seem to support the preliminary signage package we submitted. IDEM has issued approval of our tree clearing plan. We've also responded to all of our geology enclosures that included a lot of the groundwater testing requirements and monitoring that IDEM has requested. We are also working with some local contractors and local developers on earthwork donations. We feel really positive after a conversation we had last week that will be moving forward. I can't disclose anything just yet, but it looks like that the bulk of the earthwork operations there would be donated to the project. Budgets are being finalized. Actually, just a couple of hours ago, we kind of got through our first new iteration of our updated budget. We'll talk a little bit more about that with the next item on the agenda. Unfortunately, costs, like everything in the construction industry, have increased, and I'll walk you through that, though, in a little bit. Other than that, our MS4 Public Works inspection programs, happy to report that with our new MS4 permit being issued by the state, Scott has been hard at work working with Joe and our other consultants to get our new MS4 website is under development, trying to get that up and running. That will help us in some of the requirements under the new permit. And one new thing, I guess surprise for all the other department heads, is the new permit does require us to train all city employees on MS4 requirements. This won't be too big of an issue, we don't think, and it primarily is only geared towards new employees. But new employees, just like when you sign a letter that you received the handbook, you're going to have to sign a letter saying that you watched a couple of educational videos on stormwater and pollution prevention. We found a couple of good videos. It only takes someone about 10 minutes. We'll have to have them sign a little form that they watch those videos and put that in the file and keep that on record with IDEM, just in case we're ever audited on that procedure. So, surprise everyone, but you might say, does that mean everyone? Yes. We don't care if you're working in the stormwater department, or you're a lifeguard, or you're cleaning the building. You have to go through this training, if you will.
We're going to incorporate that with our internal controls video, so they'll watch it before they get to the departments.
Thank you.
Is there a test at the end?
Nope, it's just 2 5-minute videos about what is stormwater, what is an MS4, and how do we protect our stormwater resources.
Well, I'm assuming then the board should probably sit, since we're the stormwater board, we probably should sit through that.
I will forward those to you, actually, or they'll be posted on our website here shortly.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Well, we are the stormwater board.
That is true. That is true.
And that's really it. We've had 13 SWIP inspections, 2 complaint inspections, 6 right-of-way inspections, and 1 illicit discharge complaint since our last meeting. And we're beginning, as the weather is warming up, to see more infrastructure going in the ground and getting out there in front of it. So that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin from the board? Anything from the public? Okay. Thanks, sir. Next is Planning Department. Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. We're still seeing strong activity in the planning department, particularly on the building inspection side. They completed almost 50 inspections the last couple of weeks. So we're still seeing about 10 to 12 inspections a day. Good activity for our 2 inspectors out there, particularly very strong on the residential side activity, but there's also a lot of industrial commercial projects going on too. So we're really seeing kind of across the board a lot of good activity there. In addition to those existing projects under construction, we did issue 21 new permits again in the last couple of weeks, including two new house permits. So again, we're still really seeing some steady issuances of the new residential permits, and we expect to see that go up as the weather gets warmer, particularly with new neighborhoods like Cedar Ridge coming online. So we're going to see just a varied activity there. On the internal project side, this next month we expect to be coming forward to this board with a contract to do a fairly significant update to the Unified Development Ordinance. I've been working on a contract with a firm to do that over the last couple of months. It's been since 2007 since we've done any significant updating to the UDO, and I've got about 100 sticky notes on my book of things I'd like to change. So when I get to 100, that means it's time to start making some updates. At that same night, we'll be coming to the council for an additional appropriation request there. I think there's a couple of them that are coming forward that night, but hoping then to be able to get that finalized in the month of March so we can kick that off in April. And that'll probably take a good part of the rest of this year to get that updated. It's a fairly significant update. As I reviewed it with the consultant as we're going through it, it went from just some minor changes to a fairly significant update, and we think that's really going to set us up for the future and really make us as business friendly and community friendly as possible in terms of moving forward. On the code enforcement side, again, some really strong activity. Certainly in the winter months, we don't see as much activity do in the summer months, but they're still remaining diligent in terms of responding to complaints that we receive them and make sure we're responding in an appropriate manner and an appropriate amount of time. We have 10 new cases that came up over the last couple of weeks that we've been following up on. So a lot of good, strong activity there. We're investigating ways to become more proactive this year so we can really get out in the community and rather than just sending letters saying you got to get rid of something, we're going to find ways to be proactive in helping them and do that. So a lot of good things coming up there as well. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben from the board? Anything from the public? Okay. Thanks, sir. Next would be Street and the Stormwater Department. Dave Newell.
I just want to thank John for all the snow. Give me some comp time that I really needed. You're welcome. I appreciate it. No, not really. Our crew's been pretty busy cleaning off the drains, obviously, for all the snow melting, and then we had a lot of rain on top of that, so a lot of water out there, but they stayed on top of it. Then we got our wonderful ice storm Thursday, so that kind of added different animal than snow anyway. I'd rather have the snow, but guys did a great job. You know, we went out right at 4 o'clock and worked till about 10:30 that night, and then came in the next morning and finish it up. We went ahead and plowed it like it was snow, and it was a good choice. It was just kind of a guess, but took it right off down to the pavement, so it worked out for us. During that storm from Friday and Thursday and Friday, we did use 154 tons of material at a cost about a little over $13,000. So just to keep you kind of an idea of how those storms, what they cost us, and how much material and stuff. On that note, I would like to personally thank the guys for the great job they've done so far this season. Coming in and dropping everything every time they get a call, they could be eating dinner with their families, and they just, they take off, leave their families. So that's really appreciated. They just do it to keep the roads safe in the community. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff when they do leave their family and kids, and just come out to when most people are buckling up, we're going out to fight the weather. So I greatly appreciate it. We had 5 brand new crew members out of a 10 group, so we had our hiccups, but I'd say they did a great job. And, it's just all I can ask of them, and they keep performing better than I expect them to, so I can't complain. We definitely been out patching some potholes, so I've had a few here and there. It's just this weather, when it doesn't stay cold, it's worse. It's better if it just stay cold, honestly, but some of our roads that ain't that old it's killing them. So we're trying to stay on top of that. We know about a couple that we're going to have to, probably Grant Street and Garfield, we're going to have to do some block patching on, but until the plant's open and the weather cooperates, we're just patching them up and keeping them safe for people, so they don't hopefully get busted tires and stuff like that. So that's all I got, really.
All right. Any questions for Dave from the board? Anything from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Communications and Community Development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. On Wednesday, February 23rd, the same day as the open house, the Parks Department hosted, Creation Day was hosted at the Lebanon Craft Room downtown. It was hosted by the City of Lebanon. It was free to attend, and folks were able to create some keychains. It was a themed event to try and get members of the public out to be more creative. Happy to report that we had a steady turnout of attendees. We solicited for community members to join our creatives movement as well, telling them about our community creatives call-out that I'll tell you about in a minute. A great success story. There was a woman, and she and her family had just moved to Lebanon, and she heard something about a creation something, and so she was interested about some of those things because she was a glass sculptor. So she fires glass and sculpts it into different things, and just moved to town, and so trying to get used to Lebanon, things like that. She kind of poked her head in. We showed her what we were doing, and thanks to the folks at Sampson Family Leather, we had different stations of the keychain creation that you could do. Immediately a light bulb went off within her, and so she went home, grabbed her 2 kids and her husband. So they all were creative together. She signed up to be part of our collaborative, creative community. And so excited about success stories about that, like that. You may have seen and participated in our first Creation Day that was themed at mural paintings. We did some painting. We did leatherworking, robotics will be up next, then woodworking, and then possibly some acting as well. So cue the Saturday Night Live skit. I was acting, it's John Mullins. But anyway, there was a Creation Day that took place. Our second community creatives call out will be on Thursday, March 10th, and that will be from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. also at the Craft Room, and that's located at 117 North Meridian Street. Our intern Riley Jump from Lebanon High School will be helping to organize that and doing a great job with that as well. This is another chance for us to flesh out some creatives. This is kind of a meet and greet. We're doing an old-fashioned show and tell. So some of the folks that were on our first call out will be bringing some of the items that they've created to do the old-fashioned 2nd or 3rd grade show and tell. So getting up and acting possibly, or showing some of their works in front of the class, so to speak. Also getting their thoughts, opinions, not only on the cultural district or trail, but also the upcoming mural, the second mural, which is slated to take place along 32, State Road 32, a great gateway off of I-65 into our community. And so this is the kind of the gem, the jewel that we have been talking about all along with our mural creation. This will be kind of a history, a welcome. This will be the red carpet that we roll out for residents. And so we're looking forward to getting some thoughts and feedback on that. And so finally, and some people may not see these as linked, but I do, of course, our ad was approved to be in Indianapolis monthly. And so our Hey Neighbor campaign continues. That goes along with our Travel Indiana ad that is currently running. And thanks to Ben Bondrick, our planning director, who connected me with a number of the representatives from neighborhoods, home builders, whether they be existing neighborhoods or soon to be coming up out of the ground neighborhoods. Got me in contact with many representatives, and happy to say that all of them are extremely interested, as you may not be shocked to hear, in collaborating. And so what we'd like to do, we talked about in previous Board of Works reports, targeting potential new residents, visitors as well with this Hey Neighbor campaign, educating them where Lebanon, pronounced Lebanon, Indiana, is located geographically. Some of the great things about it, putting Lebanon in magazines, on web pages, on billboards as well. So we're kind of low-hanging fruit will be to create a web page with all the offerings that are available with the collaboration of those home builders. And so people want to live in a creative community, and so I see those as linked. But look forward to seeing where that process goes forward with them and with our creative community as well.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions from the board for Joe? Anything from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, that concludes department head reports. Move on to old business. Is there anything from the board? Okay, new business then. I know we already dealt with the street closure request. The next one will be the award of professional arborist services contract for the Stone Eater Bike Park project. Kevin Krillick.
Thank you very much. Yes, so we solicited quotes for professional services associated with arborist activities, tree cutting services, and tree clearing services. We went out to 7 different contractors to request quotes. I do have 3 quotes. There were 3 others that could not meet timelines or just were too busy to quote the work. And one of the other, 4th one, actually recommended the 3rd contractor, who is our lowest. So we had 3 quotes. The highest was from Trees R Us at $238,975. Second was Wayne Kramer at $207,000. And the lowest was Tri-State Forestry Services for $149,600. So at this point, I would just like your authorization to enter into a contract with Tri-State Forestry Services for tree removal on the site.
Kevin, quick question before we do that. For those watching at home as well, that's something we've talked about before, is that because this is an old landfill site, we really need to be maintaining this regardless of whether the bike park happens or not. Could you touch on that at all, of like why we're doing that? It's not just for the bike park.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. So a couple things. Yes, this is a former landfill site, and to properly maintain a landfill site, really the key is protecting the groundwater sources underneath it. So we've not had any issue that's revealed any problems with groundwater, but of course we want to be diligent and be responsible and doing the best we can to make sure that long term there's never going to be any problem in that area. This is right adjacent to Prairie Creek, obviously an important watershed for all of us. So key points from IDEM as they are concerned with the management of closed landfill facilities. One, you can't really have trees growing in the landfill. So removing the trees that have really probably been allowed to grow up there since the 1980s when the landfill was closed is a current modern landfill management practice that we need to bring brought up into compliance with, and that's the nature of the professional services agreement that I'm referring to tonight. Other things that we really need to do from a responsibility standpoint is once the trees are removed, think about placing fill over the site so that we ensure water no longer stands on the site. There's a lot of standing water on the site. That is a problem because that water can potentially infiltrate through the landfill material, through the trash, and into the groundwater table. Again, no evidence that has happened. We want to be diligent and make sure that doesn't happen or have the opportunity to happen. So clearing the trees is step 1. Step 2 is to level out those low-lying areas that hold water. And then step 3 would be the installation of groundwater monitoring wells. This would be a standard practice in modern-day closures of landfills, but because this was closed prior to the modern-day practices, that was not requested or required at that time. So aside from the bike park, we really want to make sure that we're adhering to IDEM's requests and requirements to make sure that the site is protected long-term. So again, first step, let's remove the trees. I mentioned in my Board of Works report, my engineering department report, that we're working on a plan to bring earthwork on the site to eliminate the standing water, the drainage concerns. And then we're still working through IDEM. We've received approval for stockpiling dirt and cutting trees down. We're still working through IDEM on the details associated with the groundwater monitoring systems that will have to be in place. So I'll have more to report on those things in the future, but at this time I would like your approval to execute an agreement to start the tree clearing. One of the reasons someone might say, why start now if we've got these other things? The reason we have to start now is that in Indiana we have DNR laws that are in place to protect Indiana bats. Tree clearing can only happen in Indiana, or tree falling. You can clean up trees afterwards, but you can only drop trees from September 15th to March 31st. So we've got roughly 30 days to get the trees at least on the ground. Now, Tri-State Forestry Services is the only of these 3 contractors that submitted bids that actually guarantees they can have the work done and complete by then. Others, they think so, but again, can't guarantee anything. So we like the forestry, the Tri-State Forestry Services proposal because it's low, but also because they're an outfit with the capability and the equipment to get this done quickly and get in, get out of the way, and keep us compliant with the IDEM and the DNR rules regarding the site.
So bats in the spring and fish spawning in the summer?
Fish spawn in the summer, bats take refuge in the trees.
Fair enough. Any questions for Kevin on that from the board? Does that all make sense?
I have a couple of questions. You were kind enough to send out for Tri-State the maps,
Yes. Would you like to
and
see
the
those
print
on
was so small, I frankly could not figure it out. Do you have a copy of that you could put up for us? Because I'm not quite sure where we're talking about.
Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry.
It says 70 acres, but it seems to me, unless that includes the bush hogging, you're not talking about cutting trees on 70 acres.
It does. I think I'm sharing my screen here. Okay, so this is the Tri-State Forestry Services proposal. Their proposal is broken out into 2 pieces. This first one is essentially for, you might call it bush hogging, it's actually forestry mowing. The difference is this is a bit of a more beefy mower. This is a mower that can mow trees up to 14 inches in diameter to the ground, just like you would roll over a dandelion. So $53,200 is the quote for that portion of the project. And then this map here, the yellow or golden areas indicate the areas where forestry mowing would be the clearing method of choice. So that's the areas where the trees are a little smaller. The second part of their proposal is the larger trees. This is where we get $96,400. You total that $53,200 from earlier, and you get to the $149,600 that I mentioned. And this is the map where they have walked the site and determined where the larger trees that will require more extensive.
So all of the light green areas here that are labeled with letters are the areas that those trees will be cut.
Right. So basically, you have roughly a 70-acre landfill boundary. The red area is where we have historically known, and we have also confirmed with our consultants where the trash is buried. And so anything in that trash boundary, the waste limit, we have to have cleared. So where it's smaller trees, scrub, things of that nature, willows and mulberries that have grown up over the years, that will be forestry mowed. The larger trees would be cut down with bigger.
Well, I noticed that they weren't going to remove any logs that were over a certain size. So I'm assuming that's just going to cut them down and they'll stay there if they're that large.
So a couple of things. I've clarified that, and we've gotten revised proposals from them, or clarifications on their proposal. Nothing will be left on site other than what we have requested. Now, from a bike park perspective, we would like to keep about 40 large logs for bike park features. We will flag those in the field, and those would be set aside for if and when the bike park goes forward. We would have those there for the ability to build wooden riding features with. The rest of the trees will all be either chipped and mulched up and left in piles on site that will be used for erosion control practices. The other trees will all be, if they can't be chipped up, they will be hauled away.
Now, the last nuisance question had to do with the stump removal, because I have no idea how this will all be laid out, but they said they were going to cut them as close to the ground as they could. But my question was, and you may have answered it, is that I could envision stumps somehow being an issue for laying out a bark, the actual park or routes, except you indicated you would be covering.
Exactly. So of the image that's still on the screen there, everything with the red area essentially gets a layer of fill placed over it to crown that area off so that it drains. So we cannot pull the stumps out. In a clearing operation this large, usually you would actually rip the stumps out of the ground with a bulldozer or something of that nature. We can't here because the root system has the potential to pull up the buried trash. So IDEM is requiring us to cut the stumps off as close to the ground as possible. We'll fill over the top of them.
Right.
And when we get to the perimeter of it, when our fill limits are much smaller as we're tapering down to match existing, that's where we'll get the stumps as close to the ground as possible. In the center, or closer to the center, we'll leave a little bit of a higher stump. All that will be covered. Keep in mind, this is really a natural surface park. So we're not in danger of someone needing to put a foundation or dig a sewer or anything else like that through these areas and encountering a stump, because this would be a natural surface environment.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Kevin from the board? Okay. This time then, I would entertain a motion to award the arborist services contract to Tri-State Forestry, is that correct?
Yes, Tri-State Forestry Services.
Tri-State Forestry.
And Kevin, just to clarify, Tri-State was the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder?
Thank you.
Or quote?
Yes, the Tri-State Forestry Services is my recommendation for award based on the fact they're the lowest, most responsible and responsive quote on this project.
Okay, so we entertain a motion to approve that arborist services contract with Tri-State Forestry Services pending final legal review as well as council appropriation, and authorizing the mayor to sign on this board's behalf.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second from Dick.
Second.
All those in favor, we have Dick already seconded.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, that is approved. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, board.
I do have an update on total park budgets if you would like, or if you feel as though that should be best put on a different agenda or a different meeting.
Let's do that at the next one, if that's possible, or later.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business for the board? Okay, then we'll move on to the claims, and we'll entertain a motion concerning the claims.
Make a motion, we pay claims.
We have a motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those claims are approved. Any announcements or discussion? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next Board of Works meeting will be March 14th at 5:30 PM. The city council is up next.